What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 7 update video. Today I have several new updates and spoilers for you thanks to the reporters at the Toronto Sun, and there are some pretty big details here which does confirm several things about the upcoming season. When I'm done reading this article, we will try and piece together some of this, then we can get into some speculation. So let's get started. According to the Toronto Sun, back in October during filming, some of their reporters spent a few days with some of the production crew in Northern Ireland at the Titanic Studios in Belfast, which is more or less the main headquarters for Game of Thrones. While they were touring the sets, they met with some of the cast and crew, and they were also lucky enough to watch a few scenes being filmed. While there, they were able to tour the Citadel, which had over 800 bundles of books as props. They also saw Cersei's bedchamber, which they said was just as luxurious as you'd expect, and they saw a mysterious earthen dungeon with a cell and a sturdy door. They also saw the interior of an ironborn ship, but they weren't sure if it was Yara's or Euron's, and they also saw that Sam and Gilly did have their own bedroom in Old Town. It also says they watched a scene being shot for Season 7 Episode 2 which featured a number of different main characters, who were gathered around a table map on Dragonstone, and they were discussing how they could pry King's Landing from Cersei's grip. Now that's pretty interesting because among the cast were Daenerys Targaryen, Tyrion Lannister, Missandei, Ellaria Sand, Olenna Tyrell, and Yara and Theon Greyjoy. The person directing this scene was Mark Mylod, who is signed on to direct episodes 2 and 3. Now this is important, and we will come back to this in a minute. They also said once they were back outside there was a large tent, and this is where they watched workers sculpt the massive dragon skull out of foam. They said this skull would be one of 40 skulls that would be used for a particular scene, but they weren't sure what kind of scene it would be. It could be a flashback, a dragon graveyard, or anything else you can think of. And last but not least, they toured Winterfell's banquet hall where Jon Snow, Sansa Stark, Brienne, Davos, Tormund, and Lyanna Mormont were filming a scene, which they were discussing the imminent threat of the White Walkers. And Jon Snow said, "Dragonglass kills White Walkers, and right now it's worth more than gold." Jon then told all the Northerners there that they need to start mining for obsidian so they can make weapons to fight the White Walkers. Okay, now let's break some of this down. There was a lot of interesting things to take note of from this report, and I'm going to put the link down in the description in case you want to go and read the full report. But let's go over some of this stuff here because in my opinion these were the most telling parts of the report. First off, it says they were able to visit the Citadel while on these various sets. Then they say they visited a mysterious dungeon that had a cell with a very sturdy door. One thing that comes to mind when I read both of these things in the same paragraph is the dungeon and cell door that we saw in the trailer. And when you put it all together, this must be the same dungeon that Jorah Mormont will be kept in while his grayscale is being treated. And I did have a feeling this would happen. I made a video about 5 or 6 months ago where I listed 3 ways Jorah Mormont could get his grayscale cured, and one of those ways was the Victarion Greyjoy treatment, so to speak. If you look at Jorah's arm in the trailer, it looks to be badly burnt, similar to what Victarion's would have looked like, and Jorah's arm also appears to be very wet. I'm assuming he has been dunking it in water after it has been burnt to a crisp. Jorah was already given John Connington's grayscale, so they might as well give him Victarion's treatment, or Makoro's, however you want to look at it. So in my opinion, when the Toronto Sun says they visited the Citadel set, and they visited a dungeon with a cell and sturdy door, to me that just screams Jorah Mormont's new home, which we saw in the new trailer. But what do you all think? Do you agree with that, or do you think it's another dungeon cell? Let me know what you think. But let's move on to the next part of the article, and this is a very important part because it gives us a better look at the Season 7 timeline. With this information, we know when some things will and will not take place. The report says director Mark Mylod, who is directing episode 2 and 3, was on the set of Dragonstone in Stannis' old war room with Daenerys, Tyrion, Ellaria, Olenna, Theon, Yara, and Missandei. Now we know for a fact that all of these characters will not die in the first episode. And we also know for a fact that Yara and the Sand Snakes will not be taken prisoner in the first episode. Based off this, Dany's entire fleet is going to make it to Dragonstone in the first episode without getting attacked. They must arrive at Dragonstone in episode 1, then by episode 2 they meet in this war room, and this is when they come up with their strategy to loosen Cersei's grasp on King's Landing. This could be the same scene from the trailer when we see Tyrion knock over the lion on Casterly Rock. This is most likely when Daenerys decides to split up her forces and attack Casterly Rock and possibly Lannisport, before she sends her Dothraki to take out the other part of the Lannister army down south in the open field. There was a scene in the trailer that shows Ilaria and Yara kissing, so they more than likely leave Dragonstone together. But then this is when they get attacked by Euron, and most likely in this same episode or episode 3. Because when we see Yara and the Sand Snakes chained up by Euron in King's Landing, the same director is doing these scenes too, Mark Mylod, who is doing both episodes 2 and 3. Daenerys may send her Unsullied to Casterly Rock, and she could send Yara and the Sand Snakes with their fleets to Lannisport. But then that's when Euron must cut them off and attack them, take them prisoner, and have them in chains in King's Landing by episode 3 at the latest. So I'm kinda glad we got this report, because this did clear some things up, because now we know they all make it to Dragonstone first, before they get attacked on sea. But let's move on to the next part of the article. What the hell do you think they could be doing with 40 dragon skulls? Do you think we could get another scene in King's Landing where we saw Arya chasing the cat back in Season 1? Or do you think this could possibly have something to do with the Dragon Pit scene that's supposed to take place in the Season 7 finale? I'm not quite sure what they're going to be doing with these, so let me know if you have any good ideas about this one. But let's talk about the other scene that was being filmed while they were on set with Jon, Sansa, Davos, Brienne, Tormund, and Lyanna, and some of the other Northerners, where they were talking about the Dragonglass. Now I think this is interesting because now we know that Jon definitely makes it clear that they need Dragonglass and they need to go mine it right away, then make some weapons. So when we see the leaked photos of Jon on Dragonstone, that doesn't necessarily mean he went there because Daenerys sent him a raven. Jon could have potentially went to Dragonstone just to get some obsidian. Then when he gets close to the island, he realizes it's very operational, with a new age Targaryen army crawling all over the place. How much Dragonglass do you think Jon's really going to be able to get? Are they going to get enough to make weapons for everybody? Because I really hope so. I would like to see daggers and spears and arrowheads and everything else you can think of that can be made out of Dragonglass. And if Daenerys doesn't believe Jon about the threat beyond the wall, do you think she would allow him or his men to start mining the island? How do you expect this meeting to play out between these two? I kinda hope Daenerys gets on board with Jon's plan sooner than later. That way he can get enough men guarding the wall, with at the very least some Dragonglass weapons. But comment below and let me know what you think about these new spoilers. Are you excited about some of these scenes that were detailed in this article? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. I will see you all down in the comment section. Bye.